It's scope day. So tonight I'm gonna mount my rifle scope in the kitchen. I don't want to do it down in the basement because then that kind of isolates me after a full day of work, and then going down in the basement, I'd rather be upstairs with the cats and my wife. So doing it in the kitchen. I put down a towel, double layered towel just to protect the surface. And here we go. So what I have going on here is I have my Caldwell tack driver bag, which is what I use to shoot. This is my CZ457 Jaguar. I bought levels so I can do this as professionally as possible, even though I'm completely inexperienced and I've only watched YouTube videos, which makes me an expert. And yes, by you watching this video, you are in fact now an expert too. The levels are Wheeler levels, and Henry's on the floor. He loves to rub on things. And I have my fat wrench, my firearm accurizing torque wrench, also by Wheeler. And that's used so I don't over tighten the rings on the scope and, mess with the parallax and just damage the scope itself. So I bought this specifically for this project. I'm really going to try and look at the camera and not my video, so I apologize. Now what I realized is that, while the fat wrench is nice, it doesn't have all the bits that I need. I mean, it had a star bit that seemed like it was going to fit the hex heads on the rings, but I figured, you know what, while I was at Lowe's, I picked this up, a little Craftsman set, and it had a nice little selection of hex heads. And one of them fits really, really nicely into these screws. So that's what I'm going to be using. I haven't tested it yet with the fat wrench, so I have this adapter. I think I'm going to need that. And of course, the most important thing is the scope. It is a Vortex Crossfire II. I talked about this in a previous video, but it's a Vortex Crossfire II 2-7x32 V-Plex. I went with the V-Plex because I'm a new shooter, and that's what was recommended because I think I don't know the terminology for the other one, but the other style scope has extra dots on it in the view. And that's so that you don't have to necessarily mess with the buttons. To dial it in, you can just use the markers in the scope and realign your shot that way. I figured, you know what, I'm new at this. I'm just going to go with the simple one, at least for now. So I'm mounting this. I think that's about it. So I have the tack driver bag, rifle sitting on it, and yes, it is unloaded, but just for the sake of this video, I pulled the bolt back. It is unloaded, and it's technically ready to fire. So it's going to be, it could dry fire. So let's just do that, just to get it out of the way. And let's begin. So let's see. First, let's see how this all goes together. That's nice, good. So use the settings that the manufacturer tells you, the torque settings, and not your ring, the ring maker. And this manufacturer says to set the torque settings between, I'm pretty sure, between 15 and 18. Yep. And that's specifically for the rings themselves. So what you do is you unscrew it, you pull it down, you unscrew it, and you unscrew it back. That right there is about 15. Okay, I think that's good. A little over 15, a little past 15, a little bit, between 15 and 18. They probably give you that window because you really can't get 18 on this. The lines are just really tiny. So, I mean, you can see where the 15 is, and you can see where the 20 is, but who knows where the 17, 16, or 18 and 19 are. It's all kind of just guesswork at that point. So that's set. But to place these, I'm going to use the hex wrench that they came with. So I'm going to loosen them up first. Not endorsed by Code Red. This video is not endorsed by Mountain Dew Code Red. But I endorse Mountain Dew Code Red. Code Red. Welcome to Jersey. I hate when I mispronounce shit. Alright. So let's loosen this up. Now these have a 1-inch ring and an 11 millimeter mount for a dovetail. Because that is what this CZ has, an 11 millimeter dovetail. So I'm just gonna quickly snug it up, not tighten it, but just snug it up so that I can begin to figure out where the scope should sit. You know, how much spacing is required. I might have to move my level as well as fix the level. It's got a little magnet on it. It's just attached to the dovetail there. Now this rifle does have a leaf sight, and I did not buy rings that would allow me to continue to use that leaf sight. I'm hoping that I just won't need to use it after I put the scope on. I mean, it was hard enough shooting at 25 with the leaf sight. And this sight radius is just gigantic, but, you know, it did pretty good. Otherwise, all right, so let's unbox the scope. Comes with a cloth to keep the lenses clean. So there is an attention, like a warning label on this, which states, to properly mount your rifle scope, we highly recommend using an inch-to-pound torque wrench. Do not exceed 18 inches or inch-pounds of torque on the ring's screws. They're not kidding. They want to make sure that you know this. So let's double check. I dial it back just a little, just in case. But I don't think I'm anywhere near 18. I might be like 16. So refresh my memory on what's what, because obviously we want the windage dial top, and then we want the windage turret on the side and the elevation turret on top. And that is this orientation. Logo on the side, label on the side, blank one on top. So I'm going to grab a pair of scissors and cut that off. You know, I think I like this scope. Everyone online really was approving of this purchase. You know, the people who know. So I am not one of the people who know. I'm one of the people who are seeking knowledge. So I had it backwards. Yay, inexperience. Kind of want to keep it away from just the elbows, the taper part, you know, where the scope tapers up. Just gonna snug them up. Just snug them, I'm not gonna tighten them yet. And next, so the height looks okay, you know. You definitely won't be able to use the leaf sight because the scope hangs over it. I mean, even though this is a dovetail here, and these rings I thought were pretty tall. I mean, I guess if I got new rings so that they were open, I could set the leaf sight to 25, which is what it's set to now. And I could use it if I, you know, looked under and, you know, live and learn. I may never need it though. So now I'm going to start to put the rings back on, just so that the scope can't fall, and then I'm going to do further adjustments. Now, like in one of the videos I watched, talk about when you get to this part to put the screws in like you're doing a tire. You're constantly crossing over, skipping, but doing it in a sequence that is applying as much even pressure as possible. And I'm not looking to tighten it yet because I want to be able to manipulate it still. So that's already feeling snug, and I haven't even begun to tighten it. So there we go. Still moves. Okay. Now front one. Just get it started. Some good videos. I think probably one of the better videos was a video that Vortex put out. I guess they were at some kind of convention and they had one of their people professionally mounting a scope for a customer. Okay, so that moves still. So now you want to level everything, make sure, you know, start to at least take that into consideration. And now it's kind of seeing what is comfortable distance-wise. I mean, I don't have a whole lot of play here, but you know, I'm gonna have to move the camera. So the primary reason I set the butt end of the rifle, you know, stock down at the edge of the table is for this part of the process. And one thing they say is that when you're doing this part, you don't want to stare too long into the scope because your eye will adjust to it. Right now it's set at 2. Haven't done any tweaking at all. Haven't touched anything. So you kind of want to hold it in a way that feels natural. I just moved it up to 3. I'm going to take it back down to 2. I'm adjusting it back here. I think it feels right. The rifle is level. Make sure the rifle is level. And now that the scope is level. I don't think I'm really going to get a good idea of this until I actually use it. I mean, the fact that my head has to be so high now because of this, because of the scope, I don't have anything to rest my cheek on. So I think I might need to get a thing for that. I'm sure there's a name for it. Cheek rest, cheek lift. That sounds like a surgery. I don't know. I think I'm just gonna have to see how this goes. With no experience, I really don't know what to make of it. So I guess the best thing I can do is to make sure it's level. And that's that, really. I guess I should push it as far forward as I can. Just give me as much room as possible to get situated. I'm really glad I bought these levels. Definitely has a lot of eye relief to it, that's for sure. Yeah, I think I'm just gonna mount it, make sure it's level, and then see what's up. Yeah, see what's up when I take it out tomorrow. Back up a little. Let's put these back on. And this is definitely where this comes into play. And I'm just making them nice and snug because when I make things snug, they're pretty tight. So I have learned that over the years. Now, one thing I did not do, so I'm just going to be mindful of that, is I did not wipe down the screws. Some people say that the you don't want to just wondering if I should unscrew them or not. There we go. There we go. Torque wrench doing its job. But they say if you don't use Loctite and you don't grease the screws up, because the grease will distort the torque on the wrench. It'll allow you to turn it more than you should be. We'll see what happens. I'm wondering if I might need to move this forward and allow this to shift. I'll have to see what's comfortable. Okay, so I just picked it up and just kind of gave it a feel, and I think I'm going to just move everything forward. So what I did was I loosened the ring, and now I'm going to loosen the base on the back. So I loosen the ring on the front and the base on the back, and I'm gonna move it forward. Just felt a little too close. So I'm going to tighten the back, the base on the back. And now I'm going to loosen, or rather, well, now I'm going to tighten it. Oh, no, wait. I can't decide. Yeah, I'll loosen the base. On the front, let's see if I can scoot it forward a little. There we go. And I'm going to loosen the back. So just move things a little more forward. Check my level. It's pretty good. And I'm just gonna that feels nice. Now the next thing to do would be, I don't have a whole lot of distance here to play with this, but the next thing would be to take the bolt off. The bolt out, and look down the bore and see, make sure everything's in alignment, but there's not a lot of distance here, so I think I'm going to do that at the range. Wish me luck.